Back about 235 years ago, the American colonists decided that they had had enough of the tyranny of King George and began to argue for at least some form of self-rule. The king responded by sending troops to arrest leaders of this movement. The troops were met by local farmers at a bridge in the vicinity of the towns of Lexington and Concord. Shots were fired, people died, and things went from bad to worse. This first battle coined the phrase, "the shot heard round the world." On July 4th, 1776, the American Congress declared the colonies independent, making the whole thing official by creating a document called, fittingly, the Declaration of Independence. The 56 representatives who signed this document ended it with the following: "We, therefore, mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." They were serious. The king was serious too. He sent troops. War raged for about 5 years. We won. Next, we created a constitution. Fearing that we might be trading one tire for another, the founding fathers placed specific limits on the power of the federal government. In fact, in a later amendment, specifically the 10th Amendment, Congress added these words: "The powers not delegated to the United States nor prohibited to it by the states are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people." For 200 years, there was a push-pull relationship regarding states' rights. For the last 50 years, there has been a slow but steady erosion of these rights. But for the last 18 months, individual and states' rights have been swept away at warp factor speed. Stand by, Scotty.
Warp drive, Mr. Scott.
Let's take a look at a few recent examples. The first example. Earlier this year, the people of the state of Arizona voted in favor of a law to address the problems caused by a flood of illegal immigrants into their state. Without even reading the law, the U.S. Attorney General said he would oppose it. The Obama administration went to federal court and persuaded a single U.S. District Court judge to block the major provisions of this law. This was done in spite of the fact that the Arizona law mirrored federal law in regard to illegal immigration. Another example. In November 2008, 7 million people in California voted to outlaw gay marriage in the state. On August 4th, 2010, a lone U.S. District Judge ruled that the voter-approved ban, known as Proposition 8, violated due process and equal protection under the U.S. Constitution. Interestingly, California has laws concerning civil unions, which provide couples with the same rights and privileges as do marriage. 30 states have similar laws on the books. On August 3rd, 2010, the people of the state of Missouri voted to not participate in Obamacare.
The other issue, of course, all the state was voting on, and of course the nation is watching, is Prop C. That was basically what some call the referendum against President Obama's health care plan. A yes vote meant no to the Obama health care plan, and overwhelming numbers right showing that this time it was passed, 73%, numbers still coming in. Now again, other states across the nation are watching because we're the first one to put this to a test of the voters. States of Indiana, New Mexico, North Dakota, and Wyoming all watching to see how we vote in the state of Missouri.
The general response from the White House was that this vote meant nothing, and they would not be paying attention to it. And just how did our elected officials respond to questions regarding constitutional authorization for government intrusion into our private lives? Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, quote, "Are you serious? Are you serious?" Congressman Pete Stark, "The federal government can do most anything in this country."
How can this law be constitutional? But more importantly than that, if they can do this, what can't they?
Is your question they can do it? Is your answer that they can do anything?
The federal government, yes, can do most anything in this country.
When I recently asked Congressman James Clyburn, the third-ranking Democrat in the House, to tell me where in the Constitution the federal government is authorized to regulate everyone's health care, he replied that most of what Congress does is not authorized by the Constitution, but they do it anyway. There you have it. Congress recognizes no limits on its power. It doesn't care about the Constitution. It doesn't care about your inalienable rights. It doesn't care about the liberties protected by the Bill of Rights. It doesn't even read the laws it writes.
Then there's the issue regarding the construction of a mosque near Ground Zero. Despite a heavy majority of public opposition, a small group of New York politicians has decided to allow this project to proceed. The proponents contend that this will show a tolerance on the part of the American people, which will have a healing effect on religious relations. Baloney! This is not just a mosque. It's a victory tower celebrating the destruction of the World Trade Center as a blow against the great Satan. Why not construct a 40-foot statue of Bin Laden? Beam me up, Scotty.
Scott here, sir. We're beaming up. Notify transporter room. Aye, aye, sir.
Now, if you're paying attention, the score stands at Tyrants 4, People 0. Most of you reading this are probably frustrated and or angry about this loss of liberty and ruled by an elite group of tyrants who consider the Constitution merely a speed bump on their quest for a fool's paradise. What to do? Well, there are always letters to the editor, letters, phone calls, emails to local, state, and federal officials. And there are like-minded organizations which will bundle your comments and present them to officials in a mass mailing. Will they listen? Only time will tell. Will we need to do more? Only time will tell that too. Only time. Only time.